We have about almost 2 hours left in the show, and there's still a lot of things that can happen here.
Yeah.
This has been an incredible game.
Yeah, Garrett's
Are you happy that you picked this game to commentate with me?
Well, I don't know. Is this common?
No. No, I mean, it's common that we have crazy things happen, but not somebody up 130,000.
No? Oh, yeah, so I'm glad I picked that game.
A really good night in this game is if you win like 40 or 50K. Like, you know, and it's happened many times, but I mean, that's a really good night. I mean, 100K, this is actually, if the show ended now, would be the, I believe, would be the largest win for anybody ever on Live the Bike. I believe. Garrett has won over 100 before, and I think Ryan Fee has maybe won around there, but I think this might be the most as it stands right now. King 7, Deuce 5 here, and Dan with a 7, and Art with top pair, and it goes check on the flop. So Art picks this hand to check back with top pair. He is in the zone today. Art is, when you start winning a lot of hands, like sometimes you're just in the zone and you just start playing even better because you're so focused, you're so confident. That's what's going on with Art today. He is just, everything's going his way, everything's going right.
Check, bet, fold. So should actually be out. We're going to go for thin value instead.
Yeah, this
Good
is
play
gonna be
by Art.
This is going to be thin value from Dan, and he's going to value cut. 7. It's only less than a third pot. And could Art raise here? I don't think he will. This is one of his worst kings. It would be sick if he does. To raise this light of a hand for value would be really awesome. And I think he's capable of doing it. But on this board texture, I don't know if he wants to do that. He does have a 9 in his hand, so he blocks straights. He is going to do it. Art is sick today. He is just in the zone. Look at Art. This is not something that you see very often. A player raising river with this weak of a value hand. King 9. But as played, he knows he has the best hand, and he is in the zone, and he's going to make a value raise here. This is really awesome.
I do like for him to go a little bigger in the river to polarize his range more, because this definitely looks like a hand like a king check back or 2 pair tap hand. It looks very value-ish. So if he went bigger, it could definitely make his hand look like, you know, like basically big hand or air.
Well, the thing is, you got to add in is that Art and Dan, they have a lot of smallish bets in their.
Yeah.
And Dan makes a fold. A lot of smallish bets in their range in general. Like Art, you know, he down bets flop a lot. Like Dan made a small 1/3 pot bluff earlier with 8 high, and so like it's not impossible for these guys to be betting or raising rivers small with bluffs, because these guys know each other are going to fold. They're going to fold to each other a lot, and so you're right in a vacuum. But I think that with how these guys play against each other, it definitely could be a bluff. I don't know what hand.
If you think you did, then you did.
Art might bluff there with, but maybe some sort of random 8. But I think that he's definitely capable of bluffing even for that size. Most players aren't, but I think he is.
Well, he's more likely to get called if he went much bigger on the river, because then Dan would narrow down Art's raising range to way fewer hands.
It also protects, though, when you raise that small amount. One thing it also accomplishes is that he's confident he has the best hand, but it's never 100%. And so it also protects him from losing too much money when he is value cutting or where Dan is inducing, which obviously is going to be rare, but it can happen, and you still have to protect yourself from that. You know what I mean? Like if you raise too big, then you might make it an amount where you can only get called by better. You know? So you have to be careful of that. You don't want to make it an amount where you can only get called by better. You want to make it a big amount where you're polarizing it, but still at the same time making an amount where you can get called by worse. And I think in general, raising river is polarizing. So I don't think you have to be too worried about that, because it's just, you don't usually raise with a hand like King 9 there, and so he's kind of merging, right? He's merging his value range and raising with a non-nutted hand there with 1 pair, and I think the size was okay. I understand what you're saying, though, that if he raises bigger that he polarizes it more, but I don't think that's the right hand to polarize it with because you want to be able to still get called by one pair of hands, obviously.
I guess I would say to that in that specific spot is when you're up against a player of high caliber, which is what you're going to get right here, once he checks back the flop, which is what Art did with top pair, he's playing it. He's going to go for max value, which would be raised in river. And I've seen him do it multiple times before. He's not going to do that against players that aren't capable of calling there with worse. I think against good players, there's definitely a possibility that he's going to get called there with worse because then his hand is polarized enough where he can get called with worse.
Right.
By a good player. He's not making that play against a bad player with King 9.
So we have both players without a spade here. It is a chop. And Dan overbets river. And Art's going to raise. Wow, bluff and rebluff. There are 5 spades on the board. Nobody has a flush. Nobody has a royal flush. Nobody has any flush. There's straight flushes, royal flushes possible. Nobody has a blocker or anything. Nobody even has a spade. And Dan's betting the river to get him, overbetting the river to get him off a chop. And Art's going to re-raise.
So here are a couple.
Art's saying, I have a straight flush or I have a royal here.
So here are a couple of questions. Now Dan is asking himself if Art is repping here a king of spades, right? So if Art is a king of spades here, he goes way bigger. That's what Dan is thinking. Because he's going to try to get the value from smaller flushes, obviously 9, 8, etc. So I think Dan is not putting him on the king. He thinks he does not have king of spades here pretty much ever, and he's definitely considering raising him. And this actually would be a good play.
I don't think Dan can call here, but oh man, he's going to do it. Is he going to re-raise?
Yep.
Oh my God, he did it! A 3-bet bluff by Dan to 11,000. Wow, a bluff, a rebluff, and a rebluff. Dan Zack. That's unbelievable.